FC25 has seen a massive overhaul to its custom tactics system with the introduction of FCIQ. I've been spending the first part of release basically trying to get my understanding of it, playing with it in game, trying different setups, so then we can go ahead and talk to yourselves about it. First of all, what I want to say is this is not a here's custom tactics, copy it, go and use it, off you pop, go and have fun. The idea of this video is to educate you on how you can understand the tactic system to create your own tactics, because the change is so large in an extent, and there's an easy way of explaining things, that I think people should go out there and kind of experiment themselves. It's very different, right? So instead of just, blindly copying myself and others and whoever it may be, just try and get that understanding first, because then when you understand actually what's happening, then when you do copy someone's, it will make a lot more sense for you. So custom tactics. I said this a lot throughout our previous FC and FIFA videos in the past, that basically you can start in whatever formation that you want. So we start in a 4-4-2 here. And then when you set up your tactic, you can set whatever formation. So you can move into, I'll call this tactic 1, move into a 4-3-3. Everyone gets full chemistry, all that sort of stuff. That's absolutely fine. You can play whatever formation you want, essentially, with these. All right. You just start the game in that 4-4-2, because that's what you line up in, and then you change it when you get into the game. Job is a good one. So why is it so different? Well, basically we have a few different things that have been taken away from us, and then obviously a lot of things that have been added into it. So you have your ability, as I said, to go ahead and pick whatever formation that you want to play. Now, when you're looking at this, I think, in my opinion, what's going to happen this year in terms of the meta, I think a lot of people will probably look to line up in a very defensive formation. Let's say a 4-1-4-1, a 5 at the back, anything that just puts numbers behind the ball. And then where you can see without ball, where you flick to the right, it then changes to with ball. And you can basically line up your team almost in any way with the ball, which is where that expressiveness kind of comes into. So you might say, right, yeah, we're going to start, in that 4-3-3. That's what we're going to have. And then we're going to move around a little bit differently. You might say, okay, I want to start in a 4-2-2. Again, this is all, kind of what we've got without the ball. So let's take, for example, let's grab a 5 at the back. We'll go 5-2-1-2. That's what we're going to line up in here. Build-up style and defensive approach. For anyone that has played previous versions of FIFA or FC, this is what you're going to be used to. Build-up style as a whole, yes, it's not exactly the same as what we have here from previous years, but it's very, very similar in the sense of, do we want to look to hit on the counter? Do we want to look for short passes? Or do we just want a bit of everything? For me, to start off with, I'd recommend going with balanced and then kind of tweaking from there based off your game plan. I always prefer to start with balanced on everything and then tweak things kind of as we go and as you're on there. Now, for your defensive approach, this is essentially, as it says on the tin again, what do you want to do here? For the majority of people, I think sitting at around a 40 to 60 depth is going to be absolutely fine. I think when you go so deep with 25, you invite so much pressure. Finesse is on the edge of the box with finesse play style, Travellas, all that sort of stuff. It opens up opportunities for the opponent to score. So find your sweet spot, go 40 to 60 to start off with, and then kind of tweak from there. I will say, from first experience of playing the game over the last few days, defenders seem very quick, so running a higher line actually doesn't feel as bad anyway, because even if they get in behind, your defense can catch up quite quickly. So that's essentially what we have here in team tactics. It's very, very simple. It's very bare bones. There's really not that much to it. That is what it is. Well, how does it then play an impact? How do we get more out of it? And that's where player roles comes in. And this is the whole, kind of FCIQ thing that EA brought in this year. So, as I said, the way you have to really just understand this is you start in the formation of, the 5-2-1-2 that we've picked here. That's when you don't have the ball. That's how we're going to defend. That's how we're going to make ourselves difficult to break down. But when we have the ball, we can do basically what we want, and that's with player roles. Player roles are instructions from previous years, but you can't change. Like, how you could be like, oh, I want my right back to be on, like, come to overlap, or I want my striker on comeback on defense, for example. That isn't an option because these are preset by EA. They have here false 9, target forward, advance forward, poacher. That's it. That's what they are. You then only have the option to go focus on attack, balance, or defend, dependent on the role. Now, if I want to play Osimhen as a poacher, well, there's no option to have him on defend. So he will never come back and drop and be defensive. All right. So that's kind of where I think when you get your head around that it is instructions, but it's just preset by EA. That is as simple as it. One thing that I'm really thinking about at the minute, and it's something that I'll kind of report back to you once I've had a lot more game time. I don't know whether you have the little plus, right? So that's for someone that has the player roles and they excel in that player role. That's what they do best. So Osimhen is a poacher and he has that plus. You can have none, which is advanced forward here for Osimhen. And then you can have poacher with a plus and then poacher with a plus. And this is all to do with AI movement. If they have that and they have the plus, you are going to see much better AI movement across the board from that player. They're going to be a lot smarter. Where I'm trying to think about is, do I build a team around... like basically, does that player role matter? So if I really wanted Osimhen to play as a target forward here, because that's what I want in my team, am I better using Osimhen as a target forward, even though he doesn't have that player role? Or should I go and get someone that excels in that player role of target forward better? Like, how much is the trade-off, you know? That player that has target forward as their plus might not be as good as Osimhen. Obviously, I'm running an RTG, so Osimhen, ain't going to last very long. Should I have someone that's maybe slightly worse but excels in that player role? Or should I have a player that is better but doesn't excel in that role because he's a poacher instead? So that's something that, again, I'll report back onto. So when we're looking at this, what do we want to do now? Now, this is about expressing ourselves. How do we want to play? Now, there's a lot of additions. I'm not going to go through each and individual of what these are because it says it on the description, you know it, and if you use your brain you should kind of be able to work it out. The big thing that you can do is obviously just take a look. When we're moving our left back here, Gwyn, we can see for everyone attacking wing back, the green heat map, it tells you exactly where they're going to go and what they're going to do, right? So you might say, right, this is how I want to line up my 5-2-1-2. I want to have it so that Gwyn is defending as a fullback, so she's basically playing centre mid when we have the ball. But I'm thinking about this and I'm going, okay, well, when we have the ball, we have that. But what about if I lose the ball in transition and Gwyn is then at centre mid, essentially? Oh, well, I want Olmo playing out as a half winger. So then when we have the ball, Olmo's there. So then if we lose it, up in that left striker, left wing sort of position, they can't just go and exploit that gap down the left-hand side because I have Olmo there. You might want that. You might not. I don't know. Again, I'm just kind of spitballing, the sort of the ideas here. So this is where we can go. Do I want to go for the player roles or not? So I might say I want to have my two centre mids playing about as half wingers. You might say, okay, I want to have one of my defenders as a stopper who's going to be out. I want a ball-playing defender, whatever it may be. We might say I want to play Golovin as my shadow striker. And then you might want... Oyozable, forgot his name there, playing as a false knight, and so on. So basically, when you look at this now, this looks like what on earth is going on? So we obviously would look at this and go, well, how does this line up? Well, I've got 3 centre-backs. I've then got a left back that's playing in DM. I've got a right back that's playing in centre mid. And then I've got my centre mids playing as right mid and left mid. And then I've got a cam and 2 strikers. So when you look at that, look how different that lays up. And that is the beauty of FC IQ. That it isn't very much just kind of that everyone, when you run that 4-3-2-1, oh yeah, you can drop that, this is previous years, you can drop your left forward into left mid and make that 4-4-2 and then do this and do that. It's similar sort of thing, but a little bit more advanced with what it is. And that is, for me, just the way of it. So when you are thinking now about, okay, well, how do I want to do this? What do I want to do? Just think about what teams do you like watching in real life? How do you like to play the game of football? What do you want? Do you want your right backs coming in and playing in that false back role? Thinking about like Trent doing it, thinking about Cancelo, or all those sort of players that have been doing it over the recent years. Obviously, that's something that's really started to excel. Do you want your centre mids going out and playing on the wing? Do you want your strikers playing on poacher? Whatever it is, and look to see what is happening on the game and actually in the pitch for you. So take for example, I was running a 4-3-3, and the 4-3-3 is what I was using. And I wasn't happy with my left winger, which was Oyozable. I was using a 4-3-3 flat. Here we are. He was on winger plus, and I wasn't liking him on winger plus. It just wasn't working for me. I wanted him to be involved more. So I then said, okay, I want to change him, and I moved him to an inside forward and put him on attack. And then I found him to be so much closer to Osimhen and in a better position for me that worked better. But obviously, that's not what he excels in as his player role. So this is why I invite you, and this is why I create this video, to be able to kind of say to you, like, look, it's too early for anyone to say this is the best formation, this is the best tactic, this is that. But more so to open up your mind to say, okay, well, how do I want to play the game, and what does it all mean, and how does it work? It isn't as overwhelming as it thinks it is. Just without ball, that's your starting formation. That's what you defend with. And then with ball, you can just do what you want with player roles. You can move people around as you want. Because obviously, if we move Di Lorenzo into a false back, when we have the ball, he is there in centre mid. When we don't have the ball, he moves back into his original right back position, because that's how we line up there. It's very simple. It's very easy. I say very easy. It was a little bit, what on earth is going on? How does that work? But once you kind of get your head around it, that is that. So the other thing that I wanted to touch on for you as well, because this took me a little while to get to. Let me see if I can find it. So when you're in this main menu, tap R1, you can go to assignments. You can basically set to have 3 players on where you want them to be on corners. Now, this isn't, I don't think it's that great, but it's there for you. So you might say, right, target player, who do I want that to be? Well, I want it to be Osimhen. He's my big man. There we go. Who do I want at the near post? Well, you want someone else who can kind of look to flick the ball on. So I might go for one of my centre-backs. And then at far post, I think far post would be best if you are thinking about a player at the back post who has good attacking positioning. Because if you get a win a header with your target player, or you win a header with the near post player, and it goes off for a rebound, that person at the back post is more than likely the one to be there to kind of tap it in. So I'd probably look for someone with high attacking position in that sort of position. Unless you're looking for a consistent back post cross, then maybe just go for a typical defender. But yeah, that's also something for you to go to, because at first I was like, well, where is all this? I didn't understand, and then I found it. So one thing I wanted to touch on as well, if you can find it, let me know. But to me, it isn't in the game anymore. There is no way for you to tell the game how many players you want in the box on a corner or a set piece. I'm hoping, with it being called FCIQ, if I'm winning 2-1 in the 88th minute, I don't want 5 players in the box. I don't want 6 players in the box. I want 2. I want more people standing on the halfway line. I'm hoping that the game realises that and then doesn't put them there, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Because then what I think to think about it is, well, what about if you're playing on comp, for example, and you're doing like 2 legs, all that sort of stuff, it gets confusing. Either way, there's no way for you to change that, which I'm not a massive fan of, if I'm honest with you, if that's the case. So that's how it works. Have a play with it. Just enjoy it. It's the start of the game. In the first few weeks, no one's going to have a clue what on earth is going on. Just enjoy it. Try different stuff. Have fun with it. And let me know how you get on, really. All right, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you in the next one.